The fallout from the Super League stuff, Brian, last week, PSG weren't in it, City were, but dropped out pretty sharpish. Do you agree with the allegation from some that it's the spending from these two clubs over the last decade that almost led to the events we had last week?
Well, they have certainly contributed to it, the spending, but I think the reasons for it coming out as it did last week was more because of the deficits that Barcelona and Real Madrid were running, and Juventus possibly also, more than the work of these two. I mean, Manchester City and PSG, to many degrees, they've kept a lower profile about what they've been doing. They've got on with it. PSG, for whatever reason, I'm sure they were contacted about entry or being part of the dirty dozen that should have been 15. And for whatever reasons, they decided they didn't need to go there. Manchester City obviously did. From what we hear, they were slightly reluctant and were one of the first out. But there isn't any doubt that they have contributed to the spiralling costs for clubs, the spiralling wages, the spiralling transfer fees. And when you look at PSG buying Neymar from Barcelona, because Barcelona beat them in the Champions League and turned around 4-0, 5-1, 4-0, wasn't it?
4-0, yeah.
4-0, embarrassing scoreline. They turned that around and they decided, well, the way to beat them in the future will be take them, one of the players most responsible for that happening by buying Neymar for whatever ridiculous fee it was.
220 million odd.
Yeah, I knew it was around it too. I wasn't as precise as you with the other 20 million. I'm sure there might have been a few bob and VAT on top of it as well.
Yeah,
but they were able to manage that. And that you know, undoubtedly ups the market for everybody else in terms of wages, agents' fees. So they have been contributors, but there's also parts in what both of them have done that have been admirable. I mean, Manchester City and Niall would be much more qualified to talk about Manchester City than I would in relation to where they were before the Arab money came into it. And certainly PSG, I was only thinking about it today, they were almost relegated in 2007 and in 2008 from League One, right? It's hard to believe that it actually went on for 3 seasons where they had 3 very difficult. And I can remember them playing Derry City in the European competition, and Derry almost beating them over 2 legs and playing very well under Stephen Kenny. Now, you look at the vast difference between where they are now and any League of Ireland club, not just Derry City. And that's where football is going now. That difference between the different countries is becoming more vast as there's more and more money available for them to collect the top players in the world and hold on to them, and they're in a position to really compete. But they've only won, Tommy, 9 French titles, and 7 of them been in the last few years. You know, people, probably a lot of people now think...
It's been transformative in so many ways.
It's always been...
Yeah.
It hasn't been. I mean, it was in that period, even in the early part of this century, it was Lyon were dominating, won 4 or 5 leagues in a row. The likes of Marseille were there, Monaco were there. They weren't the team, but it has been transformed. And it should be a Paris team for that city, should have a team on that scale in European football.